Barbara Venger once said that a year would come when the world of money would no longer obey human plans, but the hidden laws of destiny. In her visions, she called 2026 the year of financial upheaval, a turning point when the universe opens its secret vaults, but not to everyone. Only those whose souls are ready, whose paths have been tempered by trials, whose hearts have not turned cold despite disappointment, will be able to step into this new stream of abundance. This is not about random luck, lottery wins, or sudden miracles that disappear as quickly as they appear. 2026 is the year when the invisible work of years, patience, discipline, courage, faith in oneself, suddenly crystallizes into tangible results. For some zodiac signs, it will be a test of character. For others, it will be the greatest rise of their lives. A moment when everything they've endured finally makes sense. This is the year when financial energy shifts from struggle to survive to conscious creation for those chosen to lead. Barbara spoke of a time when the old financial structures would begin to collapse, and new ones, born from inner strength rather than fear, would take their place. Many will try to break into this stream, but not everyone will be allowed to stay. Because 2026, above all, is a year of awakening. A year when money stops being just numbers in a bank account and becomes a reflection of spiritual maturity. A year when the universe quietly asks, "Are you ready to handle what you've been asking for?" The signs destined for prosperity in 2026 are not the ones who simply get lucky. They are the ones who have already walked through fire, who know what it means to lose, to rebuild, to believe again. Their inner work has reached a tipping point. The universe, through planetary cycles and karmic timing, is now ready to pay out the long-awaited dividends. Their efforts, their resilience, their integrity will merge into one powerful stream that turns opportunities into gold. It is important to understand, this is not just a year of money. It is a year of doors opening, doors that lead to new careers, long-term partnerships, investments, moves abroad, and a completely different level of influence. Those who can read the signs, act at the right moment, and trust their inner calling will enter a new era of success. Others will simply watch and wonder why everything suddenly works. For those who spent years preparing in silence, as you listen to these predictions, you are not just hearing a horoscope. You are entering a prophetic map of 2026, the great awakening of financial destiny, the year Barbara Venger spiritually linked to a shift in the collective energy of abundance. Among all the signs, there are some who will feel this transformation most strongly. They will become living symbols of prosperity, proof that prophecies are not just words, but waves of energy that meet those who dare to rise to their level. And the first of these chosen ones is Aries. Baba Vanga once said that a year would come when a new sun would rise in the hearts of the strong. In her visions, she saw a lone figure walking through fields of ash, the remnants of past defeats, carrying golden grain in their hands. Around them, the world still smoldered, but in their palms was the beginning of a new harvest. This figure, she said, was Aries, the warrior who rises even when the battle seems over, the pioneer who builds new paths when old ones are destroyed. For Aries, 2026 is not just another year. It is the beginning of a completely different financial era. While the world dismantles worn-out systems and habits, Aries will be among those who construct new structures, business models, projects, and life paths that are bold, original, and ahead of their time. The fiery energy of this sign will no longer burn them from within. It will begin to illuminate the path forward, for themselves and for others. January will arrive with a strange inner restlessness, as if something big is just beyond the horizon. Many Aries will wake up feeling that they can no longer live as before, even if nothing dramatic has happened yet on the outside. At work, subtle but significant changes will begin. Projects that once seemed stagnant or hopeless slowly come back to life. Delayed negotiations revive, frozen ideas are brought back to the table. What was previously ignored begins to draw attention. Vanga said that the sign of fire finds the key to locked doors when others are already walking away. That is exactly what will happen. Where others see a dead end, Aries will sense a hidden turn. In January, small signals will appear: a new contact, an unexpected conversation, a proposal that seems minor at first glance. But these are not coincidences. They are the first stones of the road that leads to their financial ascent. February will test Aries' ability to persist. Some will be tempted to give up too early, thinking nothing is happening fast enough. But for those who keep moving, who continue to negotiate, send proposals, learn new skills, or nurture ideas others don't believe in, a turning point will arrive. Vanga hinted that those Aries who do not give up in February will receive a chance that changes fate. It may be a new position, a key client, a business partner, or a project that suddenly reveals enormous potential. March opens the door to cooperation that Aries once resisted. People they formerly distrusted, underestimated, or simply avoided may return to the scene, but in a new role. Now they carry opportunities, connections, and knowledge that become catalysts for enrichment. For a sign accustomed to acting alone, this is a crucial spiritual lesson. Money in 2026 will flow not only through personal effort, but also through alliances. Aries will begin to understand that strength is not diminished by sharing power. It is multiplied. During this period, many Aries will undergo a subtle but profound shift in their perception of money. It will stop being just a reward for effort and begin to feel like energy, an echo of their courage, decisions, and inner alignment. The more clearly they act from conviction rather than fear, the more responsive this energy becomes. Income will increasingly reflect their willingness to take initiative, speak their truth, and step into leadership. Between March and April, an unexpected breakthrough is likely in areas connected to business, technology, education, or investment. Projects previously for the future will suddenly become profitable. Skills Aries once considered secondary, public speaking, negotiation, digital know-how, teaching, creative problem-solving, will turn into main sources of income. This is not a random stroke of luck. It is the moment when the long-prepared seeds finally sprout under the light of a new internal sun. Astrologically, it is as if the sky itself is urging Aries to move from instinct to strategy, from impulsive action to conscious creation. Their fire is no longer just about starting. It is about sustaining, building, and shaping reality. And 2026 will make one thing absolutely clear. When Aries believes in their own power and channels it with discipline, the universe responds with doors, allies, and opportunities that seem almost unreal. But this is only the beginning of Aries' journey through the great financial awakening of 2026. The wheel of 2026 continues to turn. Aries steps into a zone where the stakes rise, and the universe begins to separate those who are merely eager from those who are truly ready. Vanga once described a vision of a circle of fire, appearing above the sign of Aries in the middle of the year, a symbol of trial, fame, and temptation. Before that circle fully forms, the months leading up to it will shape who among Aries is prepared to carry its power. May will be the first clear signal that destiny is no longer whispering, but speaking directly. Recognition arrives, sometimes loudly, sometimes quietly, but always unmistakably. Aries may receive public praise, a promotion, a major client, or a project suddenly pushed into the spotlight. Their name begins to circulate, their work is discussed, and people who once overlooked them now want to stand beside them. This recognition, however, carries its own test. There will be those who approach Aries with dazzling offers that promise quick profit, easy money, or shortcuts to success. At first glance, everything will seem attractive, even irresistible. But beneath the surface, some of these opportunities will be woven with manipulation, hidden conditions, or the risk of losing integrity. Vengers saw that those Aries who do not sell themselves for fast gold will be the ones who unlock a continuous financial flow in the middle of the year. In other words, those who choose honesty over spectacle and long-term vision over instant gratification will anchor their abundance. By July, this choice becomes visible in the material world. The promised stream begins to open. Money does not arrive in a single avalanche, but in waves. New clients, expanded responsibilities, bonuses, profitable side projects, and opportunities that seem to find Aries rather than the other way around. But the true wealth of this period is not only financial, it is also about status, influence, and the power to make decisions. The Aries who stayed true to themselves will now sit at tables where important choices are made, shaping not just their own lives, but the paths of others. During this time, their energy becomes magnetic. People gravitate toward them, seeking guidance, partnership, and inclusion in their projects. Colleagues, friends, even previous skeptics begin to look at Aries differently. They see someone who not only talks about goals, but consistently acts, even when the path is unclear. This shift is not accidental. It is the result of planetary currents aligning with the courage of a sign that dares to step forward when others hold back. Vanga said that the fire in Aries' heart will melt even stone if they learn to control the flame. July makes this prophecy tangible. The same fire that once led to impulsive decisions now fuels focused action. The drive that previously burned Aries out now becomes a powerful engine, generating growth and profit. Deals close, results accumulate. For those aligned with their deeper purpose, July becomes a month when efforts and rewards finally match. Then comes August, a time of karmic cleansing. Old debts, financial, emotional, and even karmic, rise to the surface. Forgotten agreements, unresolved issues, unpaid obligations, and neglected promises demand attention. For some Aries, this may feel like a confrontation with the past. But this is not punishment. It is purification. Those who face these matters directly pay what is due, apologize where needed, and close old chapters with dignity will feel an enormous relief. The universe does not want them chained to yesterday as they step into their new era. Vengers saw this phase as a sign of divine justice. For some Aries, money that was once lost, delayed, or unfairly taken may return in unexpected ways. An old debt repaid, compensation received, a forgotten investment bearing fruit. In August, the message is clear. What was truly yours, but withheld by circumstance or injustice, begins to find its way back. This is the universe rebalancing the scales before opening greater doors. The arrival of autumn marks a period of triumph, In September, many Aries will enter agreements that secure income for years to come. This may manifest as a long-term contract, a stable new position, a solid investment, a partnership venture, or even a decision to relocate to a place that holds bigger financial and spiritual opportunities. Aries, who once ran after money, will now learn to manage financial flows consciously, steering them like a captain directing a powerful river. This is a new spiritual lesson. Money is no longer a wild force that tosses them from one crisis to another. Instead, it becomes a tool, a resource that can be directed toward building a home, creating stability, supporting loved ones, and growing meaningful projects. Yet with this new power, another temptation arises: the urge to spend excessively, to prove their success, to drown out old insecurity with visible luxury. Vanga warned, "Those who learn to share will be given more." In October, this teaching becomes crucial. An opportunity will arise that seems risky, an investment in something that is not just business, but has soul. Education, land, long-term development, people with vision. On paper, it may not look like the safest choice, but intuitively, Aries will feel a quiet certainty. Those who invest wisely in what aligns with their values, not just their ego, will unlock a new layer of wealth that is both material and karmically blessed. In the second half of the year, Aries develops a sharpened sense for the right moment to act. While others hesitate, they move. While others are paralyzed by fear, they recognize the subtle signals of fate and respond. November becomes the peak month of this arc. Vanga saw its fire in the night sky, uncontrollable but manageable. This is a time of significant profits, perhaps even record-breaking income. Those working in finance, business, technology, education, or creative fields will notice how years of effort begin to multiply rapidly. Money will come from multiple directions: primary work, side ventures, investments, collaborations. But the most important thing is the inner state. Aries feels, perhaps for the first time, that fate is no longer an adversary pushing against them, but a wind at their back. They are not just fighting for a place under the sun, they are walking in step with it. And then, December. The final chapter of the year does not burst with fireworks. It glows with understanding. Aries pauses, looks back, and realizes that they have walked a path that once seemed impossible. They see how order emerged from chaos, strength from fear, and wisdom from failure. Broken pieces of their past now look like necessary steps in a long climb. Vanga said that in 2026, the fire of Aries would become a light for others. And indeed, by year's end, those around them begin to study their story, imitate their discipline, and ask for advice. Aries no longer depends on the opinions of others. They have developed their own internal compass. Stability appears, their own home, better transport, clear investments that bring peace rather than constant anxiety. Above all, they gain something money alone cannot buy: deep, unshakable self-confidence. Their wealth is no longer just in accounts. It lives in the sense of limitless possibility. Aries understands that prophecies come true not because someone wrote them, but because they found the courage to cooperate with them. 2026 becomes the year they stop fearing the fall and accept that every fall was always a step toward the summit. As the fire of Aries completes its great ascent, the wheel of destiny turns toward the next sign chosen for abundance in 2026. Taurus. If Aries is the flame that breaks darkness, Taurus is the earth that makes prosperity real. Barbara Vanga once described a vision of a field covered in dew, with a solitary figure standing still, holding a handful of soil that glowed like warm gold. She said this figure represented Taurus, the sign that understands patience, cultivation, and the subtle rhythms of growth better than any other. 2026 will not simply reward Taurus. It will vindicate them. Every moment of waiting, every slow step, every disciplined decision that once seemed unnoticed will finally show its purpose. For Taurus, the universe does not give suddenly. It gives deeply. And 2026 is the year when everything rooted in past years will rise. Steady, unstoppable, and abundant. January arrives quietly, yet something fundamental shifts beneath the surface. Taurus begins to sense a change in the energy around money. Not dramatic, but undeniable, like the first signs of spring hidden under winter frost. Projects that moved painfully slow begin to gain momentum. People who previously refused to invest or collaborate suddenly reconsider. The universe is no longer resisting, it is aligning. Vanga referred to this moment as the awakening of the earth, a time when fate returns to Taurus everything that doubt, fear, or circumstance once stole from them. Financial stability begins to rebuild itself, not through luck, but through Taurus's renewed sense of self-worth. This inner change is the true beginning of their prosperity. February brings a shift in flow. Expenses decrease, unnecessary burdens fall away, wasteful habits dissolve. Taurus begins to see where money has been slipping through cracks. Their relationship with finances becomes clearer, calmer, more empowered. The ability to retain wealth becomes stronger than the fear of losing it. Even small decisions, budget adjustments, organizational improvements, practical investments, lay the foundation for a stable and expanding financial field. In March, the universe presents a choice. An opportunity arises that feels larger than anything Taurus has considered in years. New work, a business idea, land purchase, real estate investment, or a partnership with long-term potential. It may seem risky, but its timing is perfect. Vanga said that in 2026, stone, wood, metal, and water will serve Taurus, meaning the material world itself aligns with their decisions. This month marks the beginning of Taurus stepping into their role as a creator, not merely a manager, of financial destiny. What they build now becomes the foundation for years to come. April brings decisions that echo loudly. Taurus may receive compensation, inheritance, or an unexpected opportunity that increases their sense of security. Yet the most important transformation occurs internally. Taurus stops doubting themselves. Their confidence becomes grounded, not performative. That inner shift is what begins attracting abundance naturally. Vanga once said, "When the earth rests, it produces gold." In May, Taurus finally receives the rest they deserve. Not laziness, but a moment of renewal that births powerful ideas. During this period, simple, practical actions yield surprising results. A long-forgotten object sold, a hobby turned into income, or a partnership born from a casual conversation. Small seeds begin producing large harvests. The summer of 2026 becomes Taurus's season of growth. June and July bring a steady rise in income, not sudden windfalls, but dependable, cumulative prosperity. Taurus begins to master the art of resource allocation. They save confidently, invest thoughtfully, and envision long-term pathways instead of temporary relief. Their patience, often mistaken for slowness, becomes their sharpest financial tool. But August brings a test, just as fire tested Aries. When money reaches Taurus's hands, it becomes a mirror. Greed will repel abundance. Generosity will expand it. Taurus must choose wisely. Those who act with integrity and fairness will unlock a major breakthrough, perhaps a life-changing contract, a business expansion, or the arrival of profits beyond anything expected. Then comes September, a month of elevation. Taurus feels a powerful internal shift. I am ready for more. They begin thinking in larger scales, purchasing property, opening a second business, managing a team, expanding into new markets. Their identity transforms from worker to builder, from follower to anchor. Vanga said this is when Taurus moves from the earthly to the heavenly. Material success giving rise to spiritual clarity. October brings unexpected expansion. Travel, international opportunities, or digital ventures appear. Taurus begins to see the larger map of their financial journey. Where once they focused only on survival and stability, now they think in terms of legacy, growth, and long-term influence. Their decisions become sharper, their vision broader. November becomes the peak of Taurus's financial luck. Everything aligns, income stabilizes, profits rise, opportunities multiply. This is especially impactful for Taurus, who work with land, food, art, design, healing professions, teaching, or business management. Taurus becomes a model of calm prosperity, wise, measured, and reliable. December closes the cycle with a deep sense of completion. Taurus stands on solid ground, emotionally, financially, spiritually. They no longer fear tomorrow. Their financial situation becomes strong enough that they can breathe, plan, and dream without anxiety. They gain not only resources, but the rare peace of inner sufficiency. Vanga described this moment. The ground will become hard as stone, yet warm as sunlit sand, symbolizing final stabilization. Taurus ends the year with the understanding that success is not a miracle. It is a slow ripening. And 2026 is the year they finally taste its sweetness. But the wheel continues turning. Next comes Gemini, the sign for whom the winds of change will turn into winds of wealth. For Gemini, 2026 arrives like a long-awaited shift in the atmosphere, an energetic breeze that finally blows in their favor. Barbara Vanga once said, "A year will come when the wind of change becomes an ally to those unafraid of movement." She was speaking of Gemini, the sign born of air, ideas, adaptability, and the magic of words. In 2026, what once felt chaotic begins to take form. What once slipped through their fingers finally lands. What once felt like scattered energy becomes a straight, powerful current. From the very first days of January, Gemini feels a difference, not just in circumstances, but inside themselves. Their thoughts become clearer, sharper, more aligned. People who previously ignored their suggestions suddenly take notice. Their creative spark, quick reflexes, and ability to combine information in unexpected ways finally begin to convert into tangible profit. Vanga described this stage as the wind carrying golden petals. Every idea, every conversation, every small action begins to create ripples. Gemini starts earning money in ways that feel natural, through communication, negotiation, creativity, teaching, sales, media, or writing. Their words become currency. Their mind becomes their most valuable asset. February invites Gemini to make a bold choice. A job offer, partnership, or project appears, one that seems risky but strangely right. Gemini's intuition accelerates, pushing them to act quickly. Their mind works at double speed, analyzing possibilities and recognizing opportunities others overlook. Those who step into this new direction discover that it becomes a major turning point of the year, even though some people around them may doubt their decisions. Vanga predicted that in 2026, the voice of Gemini will be heard by those who control abundance. This is the month when Gemini begins to speak, not just for themselves, but into rooms where influence resides. March pulls Gemini into the center of movement. Meetings, conversations, introductions, unexpected messages. Everything starts happening at once. But unlike previous years, the chaos is productive. Each interaction seems to lead somewhere important. Gemini's sociability becomes their greatest financial tool. People seek them out for mediation, negotiation, ideas, solutions. Their network becomes their net worth. For Geminis working in marketing, sales, media, writing, design, education, or digital fields, income begins to rise sharply. The world finally acknowledges the value of their flexibility and intelligence. Then comes April, the first major financial breakthrough. This could arrive in the form of a contract, a bonus, an investment return, or a sudden opportunity that feels fated. Vanga called this the reward for flexibility, explaining that those who can shift direction quickly are the first to find treasure. Gemini learns to ride the current rather than fight it. They understand that fortune favors movement, not stagnation. May brings a newfound sense of control. Gemini, who often jumps from idea to idea, begins to build structure. Financial planning, savings, early investments, organized schedules. This new discipline does not suppress their creativity, it amplifies it. For the first time in years, they feel capable of both earning and maintaining wealth. Their financial anxiety decreases, replaced by strategic clarity. Then summer arrives, the season of unlocking potential. In June, projects begin to bear fruit, including ones that seem dormant or unlikely. Gemini's name spreads. Their influence grows. People praise their versatility and quick thinking. Yet Vanga warned, a wind that knows no boundaries can lose its direction, reminding Gemini that focus is essential. In July, they must choose one main direction and commit. That will lead to a breakthrough. August becomes a month of bravery. Many Geminis will make a life-changing decision, moving to a new place, leaving a stagnant job, launching a personal brand, starting a business, or reinventing their identity. This is the right move. Destiny rewards the bold this month. Vanga said that above Gemini, she saw a golden spiral, the symbol of pathways leading to wealth. Those who take risks now will experience exponential results. September and October bring recognition. Gemini steps into the spotlight, perhaps through a promotion, successful launch, viral idea, or influential partnership. Money begins flowing from multiple sources: business collaborations, content creation, commissions, intellectual property, online ventures. Their thoughts become valuable. Their ideas profitable. Vanga described their mind as a treasure that the world will finally be ready to hear. Gemini becomes not only a communicator, but an architect, building systems, platforms, or networks that generate income. They begin to understand how to turn intellectual energy into material security. November delivers an unexpected gift. A powerful ally enters their life. Someone who opens doors Gemini did not know existed. Or perhaps a surprising event shifts their financial flow in ways that transform their trajectory. Their confidence becomes magnetic, drawing the right people and opportunities toward them. Gemini becomes a conductor of abundance. Everything they articulate or negotiate gains momentum. December is the month when everything stabilizes. The wind stops wandering and begins blowing with steady purpose. Gemini finally experiences financial harmony. Systems work without constant supervision. Projects generate passive income. Money arrives without the frantic hustle that once drained them. For the first time in a long while, Gemini sees a future they can trust. 2026 becomes a year of financial awakening for Gemini, not because of luck, but because they finally learn to channel their dual nature. They stop chasing everything and start choosing the important things. They stop scattering energy and start directing it. They stop doubting their voice and begin using it with intention. Vanga once saw a city flooded with light and two figures standing side by side, one holding a book, the other a coin. "This is Gemini," she said, mind and action united. In 2026, this unification becomes reality. By year's end, Gemini feels lighter. Fear dissolves. Doubt fades. Their ideas become not fantasies, but assets. Their presence becomes a sign of luck, and their words, once scattered into the wind, become powerful enough to shape their destiny. But the great awakening of 2026 continues. Next comes Cancer, the sign whose quiet strength will turn into gold. For Cancer, 2026 will be a revelation. Gentle at first, like a whisper rising from deep waters, and then powerful enough to reshape everything they believe about themselves. Barbara Vanga once said, "A time will come when water brings not tears, but gold." She meant that 2026 would be the year when the emotional resilience of Cancer, long misunderstood as fragility, becomes their greatest financial advantage. Cancer's path has never been fast. It has never been explosive or dramatic. Their victories build slowly, beneath the surface, unnoticed by others, until one day those foundations become unshakable. And in 2026, the universe finally acknowledges the patience, intuition, and heart-centered wisdom Cancer has carried for years. January begins softly. On the outside, little seems to change, but internally, something shifts. A subtle sign appears, an opportunity that seems small, a message from someone trustworthy, a hint that the winds are moving in their favor. This opening is quiet but powerful. Vanga said, "Cancer's path begins not with an explosion, but with a whisper." This is that whisper. The universe nudges them gently, saying, "It's time." February awakens Cancer's inner power. They stop second-guessing themselves. The voice of intuition, which they once doubted, becomes clear and commanding. Decisions that once felt overwhelming suddenly feel obvious. Where others hesitate, Cancer moves with calm certainty. Vanga predicted that Cancer's intuition in 2026 would become a compass pointing directly toward prosperity. This is the month when Cancer begins understanding where to invest, who to trust, and which direction leads to abundance. Their caution, often mocked as shyness, becomes strategic wisdom. March brings stability in income. A job offer, a project, or a business begins producing consistent results. Cancer does not rush. They choose with precision. Their decisions are long-term, rooted in clarity, not fear. They build not for quick gain, but for lasting foundations. Vanga once said, "Cancer builds when others destroy," which is why they remain standing when all else collapses. That truth is revealed this month. Their steady hand leads to reliable growth, and opportunities that seemed uncertain begin flourishing. April marks the first true rise. People who once overlooked Cancer now turn to them for advice, partnership, and leadership. Their calmness becomes influence. Their empathy becomes power. If they work in a company, promotions or bonuses appear. If they run a business, profits increase. If they manage personal projects, momentum accelerates. May brings a karmic test of generosity. Unexpected expenses may appear, not as punishment, but as a test of Cancer's relationship with giving. Vanga said, "When water gives, it receives more." If Cancer avoids clinging, avoids fear, avoids grasping at every penny, a new financial stream opens, sometimes from foreign markets, online ventures, or connections abroad. June and July form the heart of Cancer's prosperity. Vanga saw a shining wave above them, symbolizing abundance through emotional intelligence, cooperation, nurturing energy, and healing influence. Cancer attracts wealth not through aggression, but through compassion. Their ability to listen, understand, and care becomes a magnet. These months shift Cancer into a new reality. Money becomes fluid, flowing toward them in natural waves. Conversations lead to deals. Friendships become collaborations. Their support for others becomes a seed that blooms into opportunity. By midsummer, Cancer realizes that money is no longer a burden. It becomes a partner, a resource, a tool they can control without fear. For the first time in years, they breathe freely. August begins a period of self-reflection. Doubts surface. Am I doing too much? Should I continue pushing? Is this truly my path? But these questions refine Cancer's focus. In August, an offer appears, one requiring courage rather than caution. Those who accept will receive unexpected rewards in autumn. September brings a financial return linked to the past. Old debts repaid, compensation received, inheritance processed, delayed payments finally released. Vanga said, "When Cancer stops fearing loss, everything that was taken returns to them." This moment validates that truth. October becomes their brightest month. Fate steps in boldly. Obstacles disappear. People who once doubted Cancer now admire their strength. Their financial, emotional, and personal growth becomes undeniable. They feel, possibly for the first time, "I deserve this." That shift attracts even more. November reshapes their world. A major change appears, perhaps a move, a shift in social circle, a new industry, or a powerful partnership. These changes are blessings disguised as disruptions. Cancer's long-term vision becomes clearer than ever. Opportunities from foreign markets, online ventures, or large-scale collaborations become especially profitable. December closes the cycle in triumph. Cancer enters the new year with stability, respect, confidence, and most importantly, inner peace. The great lesson of 2026 becomes clear. Fear was never their protector. Intuition was. Patience was. Kindness was. Cancer becomes an example to others, a person who rose not by force, but by grace. But 2026's great financial awakening continues. The next sign is Leo, the one for whom the throne finally reveals itself. For Leo, 2026 is not merely a fortunate year, it is a coronation. Barbara Vanga once said, "A time will come when the king of beasts awakens, and his roar will make gold flow to his feet." She was speaking of Leo, the sign born under the sun, the center, the generator, the radiant force that draws attention, influence, and prosperity. If past years felt like trials, invisible battles, or long stretches of waiting, then 2026 becomes the moment Leo finally steps into the light that was always meant for them. January arrives with a tension that feels like the calm before a storm. Not a destructive one, but the kind that shakes stagnant structures and makes space for new beginnings. Leo feels it intuitively. Something is coming. An opportunity appears, perhaps small, subtle, or unexpected, but it contains the seed of their future empire. A new collaboration, a surprising offer, or a chance conversation marks the beginning of a year that will transform them from participant to leader. Vanga said, "When Leo believes in their power, the world bows its head." In February, this prophecy begins unfolding. Leo awakens, not slowly, but fiercely. Confidence returns like a flame rising after long suppression. Their influence expands effortlessly. People seek their guidance, their presence, their ideas. The sun within them rises, and the world responds. This awakening leads directly to March, the month of the first major breakthrough. Significant money arrives. A large payment, investment, salary increase, major client, or business expansion. To outsiders, it will look sudden, miraculous even. But Leo knows it is the result of years of effort, resilience, and self-belief that refuse to disappear. Their energy becomes magnetic. Everything they touch gains value. Vanga compared Leo's financial presence to sunlight. The sun rises not to hide, but to illuminate. In 2026, Leo illuminates. Their authority becomes a currency. People pay not only for their work, but for their vision, their leadership, and their ability to inspire movement. April tests their endurance. Money arrives quickly, but it can also slip away. Temptation lurks. Risky decisions, flashy investments, ego-driven purchases. Leo's challenge this month is to balance ambition with wisdom. Vanga warned, "When gold blinds, it turns to ashes." Those who stay grounded will find that May rewards them with a second wind. May becomes a month of expansion. Business grows, new income streams open, leadership roles appear. Leo feels not only uplifted, but empowered. For perhaps the first time in years, they are not climbing, they are directing. Their ideas guide teams, their voice influences outcomes, their presence shapes decisions. June shines brightly. Leo steps into the spotlight, globally, publicly, socially, or professionally. Their name travels. Their work gains recognition beyond familiar circles. New partners, investors, or clients emerge from unexpected places, even from abroad. Opportunities that seemed too big before now seem natural. Vanga described July as the month when Leo is finally doing what they were born to do. Leo gains freedom to invest, to acquire, to dream. Their actions benefit not only themselves, but those around them. They become a source of stability and inspiration for their loved ones. Their financial glow is shared, radiating outward. Then comes August, the peak of their star's brilliance. According to Vanga, this is Leo's most powerful month in 2026. Everything they planned begins materializing at speed. Contracts finalize. Businesses explode with success. Investments multiply. Money flows from several directions. Leo stands at the crest of a great wave and must remain mindful not to let pride become their downfall. September reinforces responsibility. Their influence grows so intensely that every word carries weight. Every decision impacts their financial ecosystem. If Leo controls themselves, keeps their ego in check, and remains focused, their empire stabilizes into something lasting, not transient. October becomes a month of gratitude and return. Past kindnesses come back multiplied. People Leo once helped now bring opportunities, support, or connections. This is the month when they understand that strength is not in holding everything alone, but in sharing. The more Leo gives, the more the universe sends back. November brings peace. Real peace, for the first time in a long while. Leo sees the difference between effort and flow. Where there was once stress, now there is stability. Where there was doubt, now clarity. Their confidence becomes unshakable, not loud, but steady. Their income becomes consistent, proof that they no longer survive, but thrive. And then December, the final chord of the Lion's year. Leo enters 2027 with resources, recognition, influence, and an inner harmony that had been missing for years. They step into the new year, not as a survivor, not as a competitor, but as a sovereign being. Creative, wise, noble, and powerful. Vanga saw this vision clearly. Leo standing atop a mountain bathed in sunlight, surrounded by fields glittering like gold. "This is not earthly gold," she said. "It is the gold of the spirit manifested in matter." Everything Leo achieves in 2026 is a reflection of who they become inside. Their prosperity is not the result of luck. It is a manifestation of inner alignment. They do not simply become rich, they become radiantly, unmistakably themselves. But the great awakening of 2026 does not end here. Next comes Virgo, the sign whose quiet precision will turn into a force of destiny. For Virgo, 2026 unfolds like the moment a long-studied equation finally balances itself. Barbara Venger once said, "The year will come when precision becomes magic." She saw a figure drawing straight, perfect lines through the chaos of a broken world, organizing scattered fragments into something whole. That figure was Virgo, the architect of order, the silent builder, the patient strategist whose power has always been calm, steady, and understated. 2026 will not be a year of sudden explosions for Virgo. It will be something far more profound. A year where their mind, discipline, and structure transform into tangible success. Not luck, not miracles, but mastery. January begins with analysis, as it always does for Virgo. But this time, the universe listens. While others rush into new goals without clarity, Virgo pauses, evaluates, and sets the foundation. An opportunity appears early, a project, an idea, or a contact. Something rooted in intellect rather than impulse. Venger said Virgo's mind is a box containing the key to prosperity. And this month, the lock finally appears. Virgo is ready. February becomes the month of planning with power. Budgets, schedules, strategies. Virgo builds a map for the year. Their precision becomes a magnet. Everything aligns with their structure. Life, work, people, energy. For the first time in a long while, the outer world begins to follow their inner logic. Venger said, "When Virgo thinks clearly, even chaos bows its head." And so it begins. March brings the first tangible rise. Income increases. Quietly, steadily, without fanfare. Virgo may receive a promotion, bonus, or a new contract. Nothing seems dramatic, yet everything changes. Their past investments of knowledge, time, and discipline begin to return to them. They cross a threshold from preparation to manifestation. April intensifies responsibilities. Virgo is handed more work, more trust, more authority. Though the load is heavy, the rewards follow closely behind. Virgo organizes, prioritizes, executes, and rises. Others begin to see them not merely as competent, but as indispensable. Their reputation becomes financial capital. In May, a decisive moment arrives. A choice must be made. Invest, change jobs, start something new, or commit to a long-planned direction. Virgo hesitates, as they always do. But this time, hesitation is brief. They choose with clarity. Vanga said Virgo does not need prophecy because her logic is a form of clairvoyance. And indeed, their decision opens a door to significant profit later in the year. June and July deliver stability. Systems Virgo has built begin operating smoothly. Work becomes efficient, finances predictable, and opportunities steady. Virgo's value becomes undeniable. They rise not because they demand recognition, but because the system cannot function without them. They gain leverage. They can now ask for what they deserve, and they will receive it. August tests their ability to foresee trends. Virgo's analytical nature allows them to sense the direction of money before others do. They make smart investments in real estate, business, skills, or personal development. Everything they invest in this month multiplies. Virgo does not act impulsively. They act accurately, and accuracy is the source of their power. September brings authority. People begin turning to Virgo for expertise, advice, and leadership. They no longer follow instructions. They give them. Their quiet stability becomes a beacon, attracting opportunities that require precision, structure, and reliability. Vanga said, Virgo rises without a cry. She just stands, and the world around her rises with her. This is the month Virgo becomes a pillar. October brings materialization. Virgo sees concrete results of their discipline. Savings increase, investments grow, debts shrink, and opportunities expand. Money stops being a problem. It becomes a tool. Virgo feels, perhaps for the first time, that they are not at the mercy of financial fluctuations. They are in control. November brings realization. Virgo understands that they are no longer dependent on external chaos. Life moves according to their internal order. The unpredictability of the world does not shake them. They become, in Vanga's words, the axis around which stability forms. Every decision they make brings more clarity and more growth. December becomes a month of serene culmination. No drama, no upheaval, just deep, peaceful mastery. Virgo's finances stabilize beautifully. Their accounts grow. Their systems run. Their routines support them rather than drain them. They enter 2027 with the power of someone who has built not just wealth, but an entire infrastructure of prosperity. 2026 becomes the year when Virgo proves that success does not need noise. That precision can be spiritual. That order can be a blessing. Barbara Vanga once had a vision of Virgo surrounded by papers, numbers, charts, but the light around them was divine. Her order is prayer, she said. Her attention is blessing. And in 2026, this blessing becomes visible to all. But the wheel of the Great Awakening continues. Next rises Libra, the sign destined to transform balance into gold. For Libra, 2026 unfolds like the moment a long, unbalanced scale finally steadies, revealing the true weight of everything they've lived through. Barbara Vanga once said, "Balance will become gold, and in that year, those born under Libra will stand at the center of a great financial shift." She was describing 2026, not as a sudden miracle, but as the natural culmination of years of quiet effort, hidden sacrifices, and lessons in harmony that Libra has carried alone. Libra's life path has always been a dance between stability and risk, logic and intuition, comfort and ambition. In 2026, that dance becomes aligned, graceful, and purposeful. What once felt like aimless motion becomes the choreography of destiny. January and February bring the first turning point. Libra faces a situation where they must release an old source of income, one that has stagnated for years, giving less than it takes. The universe creates a moment where Libra can no longer cling to what is safe. A new opportunity appears, bold, larger than expected, slightly intimidating, but undeniably aligned with their higher path. This is the year Libra learns that balance does not come from holding on to everything, but from choosing wisely. Spring becomes the season of awakening. In March and April, Libra's financial intuition, long overshadowed by indecision, becomes razor sharp. Suddenly, they see patterns where others see chaos. They speak with clarity that persuades colleagues, partners, and clients. Their natural diplomacy transforms into strategic power. But the universe cautions them. In 2026, timing is everything. Decisions delayed become opportunities missed. A deal, a contract, or an investment offered in early spring must be taken when it appears, or profits may be postponed for months. Libra learns that harmony sometimes requires immediate action. From May onward, synchronicities begin. Coincidences that feel too precise to ignore. A chance message from someone they need. A course advertised at the perfect time. A partner introduced exactly when they seek collaboration. These signs are not random. They are indicators that Libra has stepped into the river of abundance. Money begins to move, not through force, but through flow. Libra's greatest lesson this year is movement. Financial energy likes motion. When Libra allows themselves to step forward, the universe steps toward them. Summer, June through August, becomes the season of results. Projects once uncertain begin to show profit. Partnerships formed in spring deepen. Libra sees that their ideas are more valuable than they imagined. What was once a dream becomes a viable business model, a negotiation victory, or a stable income source. But with growth comes temptation. People who see Libra rising may try to benefit from their success. Vanga warned that in 2026, Libra must be cautious with advisors and consultants. Some will wear smiles, but hide intentions. Every contract must be checked, every agreement reviewed. Libra's intuition will whisper the truth. They must trust it. Autumn, September and October, marks Libra's breakthrough. After months of aligning effort with destiny, the world stops resisting. Money flows from unexpected directions, old debts repaid, abandoned ideas revived, partnerships renewed. People who once dismissed Libra now seek collaboration. Their name gains weight. Their presence influences outcomes. 2026 becomes the year when Libra recognizes their worth. What they create now becomes the foundation for the next decade. If they invest in a house, business, or intellectual project during these months, profits will remain stable until at least 2030. If they ignore these opportunities, they may have to rebuild from the beginning. In November and December, Libra enters a new financial era. Their decisions carry confidence. Their fears dissolve. Their ability to maintain emotional equilibrium becomes their superpower. They no longer chase money. They attract it by embodying peace, clarity, and decisive action. And as the year closes, Libra makes a symbolic purchase or achieves a milestone, something that proves they have shifted into a new identity, the identity of someone who can create, hold, and multiply wealth. 2026 teaches Libra a profound truth. A truly rich person is not one who has a lot, but one who is not controlled by fear. But the wheel of destiny does not stop. Next comes Scorpio, the sign whose inner darkness transforms into unstoppable light. For Scorpio, 2026 will not simply be a prosperous year, it will be a resurrection. Barbara Vanga once said, "When the world lies in ashes, those with steadfast hearts will rise first." She meant Scorpio, the sign that walks through shadows, survives storms that would break others, and emerges sharper, wiser, and more powerful. In 2026, every past failure becomes fuel. Every heartbreak becomes insight. Every scar becomes strategy. What once felt like endless struggle becomes the foundation for their greatest financial ascent. January tests their patience. Some plans stall. Partners hesitate. Momentum wavers. But this is no punishment. It is the universe giving Scorpio a moment to gather their strength before the ascent. Scorpio begins cutting away dead weight. Unproductive alliances, draining work, people who do not match their ambition. This clearing is crucial. By February or March, fate demands a decisive leap. A moment arises requiring courage, changing direction, investing boldly, restructuring a business, or letting go of someone who slows their progress. Those who dare will witness immediate shifts. Scorpio's ability to sense hidden value becomes their advantage. They see opportunities in chaos, gold in rubble. Spring brings Scorpio their first powerful confirmation. A contract, meeting, or seemingly small event becomes a turning point. Their strategy sharpens. Their intuition intensifies. People begin noticing their strength, influence, and intellect. New partners appear, strong ones, loyal ones, capable ones. Trust comes with responsibility. Every signature, every deal must be flawless. Summer transforms Scorpio's life. Opportunities expand, business growth, promotions, international work, or major clients. July brings validation for everything they've worked on since 2024. By August and September, Scorpio enters a financial boom. Numbers grow daily. An opportunity arrives that seems too good to be true, but isn't. Scorpio's challenge is not to doubt themselves. This is their moment. But they must remain silent. Vanga warned, "Power is strongest when unseen." Jealousy becomes the main enemy. Scorpio's success must grow in the shadows. By December, the world seems to open effortlessly for them. Doors unlock, people cooperate, money flows. They realize that wealth was always within them. 2026 simply activated it. Scorpio ends the year not only financially free, but psychologically liberated. They no longer fear loss. They choose their circle. They create from inner power. They step into destiny fully, finally. And then comes Sagittarius, the sign for whom 2026 becomes the year of unstoppable expansion. Sagittarius begins the year with a sensation that life is about to take off. The energy feels like a rocket countdown. Focused, tense, charged. Everything inside them aligns with purpose. Their dreams transform into decisions. Their ideas transform into action. And action in 2026 becomes gold. February brings a breakthrough meeting, someone who offers investment, collaboration, or knowledge that unlocks new horizons. This is not a coincidence. It is karmic timing. Spring demands practicality from Sagittarius. They learn strategy, discipline, and financial literacy. Their talent, enthusiasm, and vision finally meet structure. And when Sagittarius combines passion with structure, they become invincible. March and April bring new beginnings, business launches, career shifts, creative ventures. Anything involving communication, teaching, media, travel, or digital platforms thrives. Sagittarius finds themselves in demand. Mid-May brings acceleration. Risks taken now bear fruit quickly. Purchases, relocations, investments, or big decisions create massive upward momentum. Sagittarius stops thinking small. They realize they were never meant for mediocrity. Summer marks financial expansion. June and July bring large opportunities, contracts, clients, partnerships, sponsorships. Their ideas attract support. The world responds to their courage with abundance. August becomes the month of the unexpected blessing, inheritance, profit from old projects, or a reward appearing out of nowhere. Energy returns 100-fold. Everything Sagittarius once gave, to people, work, the world, returns multiplied. September and October bring peak financial energy. Sagittarius can finally afford the dreams they whispered about for years: a home, travel, business, independence. But they must stay bold. Fear blocks their flow. Confidence unlocks it. November stabilizes everything. Sagittarius discovers the secret. Money responds to inspiration, not desperation. They begin creating from passion, not fear. December anchors their success. Income becomes stable, long-lasting, and meaningful. Sagittarius exits 2026 transformed. Not only wealthier, but wiser. They learn wealth is freedom, the power to choose, to give, to grow. Next rises Capricorn, the sign destined for the greatest structural transformation. 2026 becomes the year Capricorn stops surviving and starts dominating. Their past struggles, losses, betrayal, exhaustion, turn into the blueprint for an empire. January brings calm, but beneath the calm is a reset. Capricorn's reputation becomes their new currency. February brings the first wave of prosperity. Raises, contracts, high-value clients. Capricorn moves with cold precision. Their attention to detail becomes their weapon. Spring aligns perfectly with Capricorn's strengths. Systems they've built finally produce results. Their decisions, steady, calculated, patient, bring stability. But they must trust only those who have proven loyalty. April and May introduce partnerships that elevate them. Capricorn steps into leadership. Their thinking expands beyond survival into legacy. Summer becomes explosive. June brings the avalanche effect. Every action brings exponential returns. July offers a major deal that tests their ability to think big. Saying yes leads to transformation. Saying no leads to stagnation. Fall deepens stability. August and September turn Capricorn into a premium brand. Their work, name, and ideas command higher value. Investments in land, education, or property flourish. October and November bring recognition, respect, and profound satisfaction. Capricorn enters December financially unshakable. Their wealth is no accident. It is earned through endurance. They finally understand. Stability is their superpower. Next comes Aquarius, the architect of the future. For Aquarius, 2026 is the year when their ideas stop being too different and start becoming valuable. January pushes them away from outdated income sources. They can no longer build using other people's blueprints. The universe demands originality. February brings a bold idea, radical, innovative, ahead of its time. This idea changes the year. Spring forms their tribe. People with vision gather around Aquarius. Together, they create something powerful. Technology, platforms, communities, networks. Aquarius becomes the center of movement. Summer accelerates everything. June brings swift decisions. July and August expand their influence. Money becomes a tool for building the future, not just surviving. Fall marks the turning point. Old income sources fade, new ones multiply. Aquarius becomes financially independent, not because of conformity, but because of innovation. October brings a major opportunity: international connections, investments, expansion. November stabilizes their income. December crowns them with freedom and influence. Finally, the wheel arrives at Pisces, the dreamer whose dreams finally become currency. 2026 awakens their hidden potential. January and February spark a calling to create something meaningful, intuitive, soulful. They feel guided. March brings signs, synchronicities, and fateful messages. A door opens. Spring brings their first major wins: business, creative work, spiritual services, teaching, healing, online projects. Anything Pisces pours their heart into becomes profitable. Summer accelerates income. June brings unexpected money. July brings recognition. August and September unlock karmic rewards, windfalls, inheritance, major contracts. Pisces finally learns to receive. Fall strengthens confidence. October and November bring wise investments. December delivers a sign of destiny, a purchase, achievement, or opportunity that elevates their life permanently. Pisces ends 2026 with peace, prosperity, and purpose. As the Great Awakening of 2026 concludes, one truth becomes clear. Wealth is no longer just money. It is alignment with destiny. It is courage meeting opportunity. It is intuition meeting timing. It is the universe responding to those who are finally ready. 2026 is the year when the chosen signs rise, not by chance, but by transformation. As the final pages of 2026 turn, a deeper truth begins to reveal itself. One that transcends zodiac signs, predictions, wealth, or fortune. It is the truth Barbara Vanga spoke of when she said, "A year will come when humanity remembers what it truly is, not a creature of circumstance, but a creator of destiny." Throughout this journey, we have followed the fire of Aries, the earth of Taurus, the wind of Gemini, the waters of Cancer, the radiance of Leo, the precision of Virgo, the balance of Libra, the intensity of Scorpio, the expansion of Sagittarius, the mastery of Capricorn, the innovation of Aquarius, and the dreams of Pisces. But the real prophecy, the one hidden beneath all others, is that 2026 is not just a year of wealth. It is a year of awakening. A shift begins in silence, not in governments, not in markets, not in institutions, but inside people, inside you. In the subtle moment when a person stops asking, "Will I be lucky?" and instead whispers, "I am ready." Throughout 2026, each sign undergoes a transformation that is financial only on the surface. Beneath, something more profound takes root. A new courage awakens in Aries. A deep self-worth solidifies in Taurus. A focused clarity rises in Gemini. A powerful intuition becomes the compass of Cancer. A radiant confidence lights the path for Leo. A structured mastery empowers Virgo. A fearless decisiveness blossoms in Libra. A quiet, unstoppable resilience crowns Scorpio. A bold vision expands Sagittarius. A sovereign authority strengthens Capricorn. A revolutionary mind awakens Aquarius. And a compassionate wisdom guides Pisces. Together, they form the 12 pillars of human transformation, a collective evolution hidden within the personal fortunes of each sign. Barbara Vanga described 2026 as the year when destiny becomes visible. Not because events become easier, but because people become clearer. Clearer in their purpose, clearer in their values, clearer in their courage, clearer in their belief that life is not happening to them, but through them. Money in 2026 becomes something different, not a measure of worth, not a battlefield of fear, but a mirror reflecting the inner state of each sign. Those who rise do not rise because fate lifted them. They rise because they finally aligned with who they were meant to be. For some, wealth appears as numbers. For others, it appears as freedom. For others still, it appears as purpose, connection, passion, or peace. In the end, each sign receives the form of prosperity that their soul is ready to hold. And when the final twilight of 2026 glows across the horizon, something extraordinary happens. A moment Venger called the turning of souls. People begin to realize that wealth is a reflection of clarity. Opportunity is a reflection of courage. Destiny is a reflection of readiness. And the universe never withholds abundance. It simply waits for the heart to grow large enough to receive it. The Great Awakening of 2026 is not a prophecy fulfilled by the stars. It is a prophecy fulfilled by you. Through every decision you make, every fear you release, every truth you embrace, and every step you take into the unknown. So as this documentary comes to an end, one question remains. What if 2026 is the year you finally meet the version of yourself you were always meant to become? A version unafraid, a version limitless, a version aligned with destiny, a version capable of shaping a reality beyond anything you've imagined. Because in the end, the greatest prophecy of 2026 is this: you are